welcome to my YouTube channel. Sunday morning. Sunday study group for warriors. I got some music going. I'll turn it down so it doesn't distract you guys. I got some incense burning. We got a big NASCAR race here in town today. I got lucky at the thrift store. You know, I go to the thrift stores and do a lot of my shopping, mainly because I'm a cheapskate. I could shop at the mall. I could go online to the bigger stores and just order stuff. I enjoy the hunt, and I found a whole bunch of Ralph Lauren, see the little polo guy? I found a whole bunch of Ralph Lauren shirts, all my size, brand new. Somebody must have just got rid of their collection or something. Some of them still had the tags on them from the store you bought them from. I love Ralph Lauren. I don't know if you guys have a favorite brand, a favorite designer. For me, it's Polo, Ralph Lauren. So I got some Polo shirts for the summer and spring, and I got some nice classy button-downs. I should be wearing my Polo cologne just to add to it. I went to the dermatologist. My dermatologist is smoking hot. It's a whole office full of smoking hot chicks. And I have a couple spots on me that are precancerous. So they gave me this chemo cream, and I'm putting it on my face. And in about a week, you'll see some scabs, and then they'll fall off, and I'll be good. They took some liquid nitrogen. Have you guys ever had that? I had a big spot on my head. I hadn't seen it. I don't really look at the top of my head. So she blasted me with this liquid nitrogen. That shit did not feel good at all. It was painful, but only for a bit. And that big black spot is gone. So that's been my week. Let's jump into our study group. You know, I've been to the Middle East, and I spent 6 weeks over there. Just about 2 months. I've been to Egypt, Israel, and Jordan. I've been to Israel twice. And it's not a very multicultural area. There's no multiculturalism in most of the world. If you want multiculturalism, you have to come to the West. That's like a Western thing. You go to any other country outside of Western civilization, and multiculturalism isn't a big deal. Nobody's thinking about it. Nobody wants it. Nobody values it. They don't believe that it adds to their society. It's not a thing. And it is common to be anti-Jew, anti-Israel in the Middle East. That's normal. That's not an extremist belief. That's a common belief. And it's not looked at as Israelophobia. That's not even a word. Anti-Semitism. Nobody even looks at that. It's just part of their culture. It's a rational belief based on nationalism, based on an ethnic heritage, a history, and a desire to keep their national identity pure without sounding too offensive. So I was thinking about that and trying to relate it to the West and Western belief. And I came to this conclusion, that anti-Islam is not Islamophobia. To be anti-Islamic is not Islamophobia. It's not a phobia. I'm not scared of anything. It's not a fear based on ignorance. It's a rational belief of nationalists in the West who want to hold on to their heritage and their history and their culture and their ethnicity. Islam is inherently anti-Western civilization. There is a clash of civilizations. I now understand, which I didn't before when I was younger and liberal and radical, that Islam is absolutely a colonialist death cult. And that's not Islamophobia. It's a pro-Western belief. Let's move on. And I offended you guys right off the bat. Let's go to some stages of man. There's 4 stages of man. You're a baby. You're a boy. You're a man. And then you're a gentleman. Those are the 4 stages. You start off a baby, then you're a boy, a teenager, and you have that little weird time before you're a man, and you're still kind of an overgrown child, and then you're a man. And then you're a gentleman. Now, you may not reach all the stages. You may be lost in one of the stages right now. What stage are you in? The baby is a stage of learning. The baby knows nothing, has to learn everything. The boy and the teenager are in a stage of training. Training to be an adult, training to be on their own, training to be a man. When you become a man, if you become a man, my dad always used to say, you have to be a man, and I would tell him, I'm 19, I'm a man. But I wasn't. Because a man is a stage of development. Personal development. And then if you're lucky, if you keep going, if you keep moving forward on the path of life, you reach the ultimate stage of manhood, which is gentleman. And that's a stage of wisdom, of character, of leadership. That's when you're a boss, you're a don. Let's talk about being a father, raising kids. Be the father that you wish you had. Now, you do this for 2 reasons. One, for yourself. You may not have had the father that you wished you had. Your father, like mine, may have been horribly inadequate. So be the father you wish you had. But we're talking about raising kids. So you want to be the father for your son that you wish you had. And you're going to turn around and be that for him. And you're not Santa Claus. It frustrates me when I talk to one of my buddies who spoils his kids. Spoils them rotten, and they're all a bunch of weak little brats. That's right, homeboy. Your kids are awful, man. I can't stand your kids. But it's your fault. With this idea that you were going to save them from suffering. You weren't going to let your kids go through any suffering. You had a hard life, and you're going to make sure your kids grew up with silver spoons in their mouths, and they're all just a bunch of little brats. And you want to be a man of honor, a man of respect, and you want to have a standard of character. Here's a harsh reality with parenting. Not every parent is proud of their kids. And you say, well, it goes both ways. Yeah, it does. A lot of kids aren't really proud of their parents, but think about that. There's a lot of parents that are disappointed with their kids. They don't even like their kids. You're not their kind of people. They don't know how you ended up the way you ended up. So this is really a message to the kids. If there's any kids out there watching with parents, you have to earn that pride that your father has of you. Your father's proud of you. Why? Because you have 2 arms, 2 legs? No. Your job as a kid, you have a job as a kid. Your job as a kid is to make your father proud. That doesn't happen automatically. Here's another message for kids. I know we're talking about being a parent, but I have a couple messages for kids. You never talk back to your mother or father. Never. You don't talk back to them. I don't care how smart you think you are. You cut that shit out. You shut your stupid mouth. This is real talk. You shut your mouth. You don't ever talk rudely, ever, to your mother or your father. And when they're talking to you, if they're yelling at you, you don't yell back, you don't interrupt, you ask them to talk. You wait for them to be done, and you ask them for permission to talk. That's real shit right there. Finish off this parenting talk with just some advice. I advise people to raise their sons strict and godlike. Don't give them a long leash, short leash. Raise that boy strict all the way up through their 20s. I don't care if they're 22 and they tell you, Dad, I'm a man. Or no, you're not. You laugh in his face when he says that. You're a man, huh? Oh no. A father has rules, and you enforce those rules, and I don't care if you're 22. In this house, this is the way it's done. In this family, this is the way it is. You set rules. You give your kid chores. Make your kids work. Put your kids to work. And when you come home, you check on that work, and that shit better be done. And if it's not, you discipline them. Learn to discipline your kid. Now, I'm not saying to kill them, give them black eyes, treat them like that there's some guy at a bar. It's not the UFC. You shouldn't be fighting with your son. I fought with my dad, and that was horrible. He'd square up against me. Oh, big bad Hell's Angel. No, you don't have to go that far, but you need to punish your kids. And my homeboy who spoils his kids, you need to learn how to punish your kids. He doesn't know how to punish his kids. He's scared of protective services. Stop being scared of the governments. It's your fucking kids. Spank that little son of a bitch if you have to. Send him to his room if you have to. Scare the living shit out of him if you have to. Show him who's boss. But you want to respect your kid, and you want your kid to respect you. Respect is mutual. And you want to be responsible. Be a responsible adult, but teach your kid responsibility. Let's move on. You don't have to agree with me on any of that stuff. This is just my opinion, stuff I've been studying. I've been studying childhood development a lot, not because I'm planning on having kids, but just for my own self. You guys seen the movie Bronx Tale? I love that movie. For me, Bronx Tale, written and directed and starred in by Chaz Palminteri. It's a story of his life. The character C. Colostimo, that's Chaz Palminteri, the guy who plays Sonny, the gangster in the movie. So there's a few scenes in that movie which I love. Of course, I love the fight scene with the Hells Angels, or with the biker club. That was the Hells Angels in New York, and I have a buddy of mine who he's friends with everybody in that scene, where they're acting like jerks at the bar, and then Sonny politely asks them to leave, and they refuse to leave, and then he goes and shuts the door. It's such a gangster scene. He shuts the door and locks it, and he says, "Now yous can't leave." And they're all looking at him like, what? And a bunch of fucking Italian goons come out with baseball bats and just beat these fucking bikers down. Now I'm a biker, so I'm rooting for the bikers, but it was so epic. It was so funny. That's such a great scene. But there's three scenes in that movie which to me are powerful. I mean, I've seen that movie so many times, it doesn't have such an emotional effect on me, but when I first saw that movie, these three scenes dropped me to my knees, basically. I mean, I was in tears. The scene where he pulls his young son out of the bar, I'm gonna get emotional just thinking about it. And the kid just doesn't understand. And he's like, "Why, Pop? Why, Pop?" And he tells him, "A gangster isn't a man. The working guy is the man." Oh, that scene, that's a hard scene for me to get through. That's a powerful scene. Another scene which is like that is when Sonny, the gangster, pulls an older Colostimo. He's hanging with these young little gang members. He's a teenager, but he's hanging with the wrong crowd. And Sonny and his boys find him in a car, roaming around at night, going on some kind of mission, and he stopped the car, and he jumps out, and he's like, you, get out of that car, and he pulls him out of the car. There's so much symbolism in that scene. That scene is a real deal shit. That's a hard scene for me to watch. I mean, that's Oscar-winning stuff right there. And then the final scene, which really, really, really got me, is when they're at the party and C is trying to, Colosimo is older, and he's trying to make his way through the crowd to have a little reunion with Sonny and to say what's up to him and to be closer to him, and Sonny gets murdered. He's murdered. When I watch that scene, it's like watching my own father get murdered. Fucking Bronx Tale is one of the best movies ever made. We'll end it off here. The video's getting a little bit long. I got 5 more pages. We probably should have gone quicker. The past prepares you for the future. The past doesn't define you. Stop defining yourself by the past. What kind of man are you? And then you're going to tell me all the bullshit you've been through. That's not you. The past is just lessons, but that's not you. You are who you are now. You're a projection of now and towards the future. You're not just some relic from the past, a ghost from the past. Stop being a ghost from the past. Food for thought.